What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is T.E. Laurence, and there are men in my ski resort who dress exactly like this guy. Literally. It's like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Oh, stupid sexy mortal.
That's right, Saint Micah. Even a stoic angel general like yourself cannot resist. For today, we're not going to discuss about a demon girl, or any girl for that matter. No, today's guest of the hour is the Helltaker, the man himself. The man exuding so much Chad energy, whether it's demons, angels, fellow humans, or anything for that matter. Women across all realms want him. And men want to be him. And we shall discuss why he is not only the best main character, but also possibly the best husband. So, this is a special one for you ladies out there. And for the men watching this, you better start taking some notes. For we are men. It is time for us to stop being mediocre and step up our game. And this jacked up Phoenix Wright lookalike from Poland will show us how it's done. Let's begin. Before that, however, enjoy the speed paint of the Helltaker as a weightlifting champion in the 2024 Paris Olympics. The finished piece will be shown at the end. Anyways, the Helltaker, the man himself. Most of you have already played the game already. A muscular Chad has a dream about demon girls and descends down to hell itself, assembling each demon girl he comes across to form a harem. Afterwards, they move in with him to the surface to have a happy ending. Well, sort of. But despite the Helltaker being the protagonist of the game, he is actually not the main focus. As a character-based story, the main focus is actually on exploring the character of each demon girl. Still, surely I'm not the only one who's curious about the man himself. Other than his buff looks, his charms, and his masterful skills in cooking pancakes, not much is really shown about him, especially his background. Even the official comics don't reveal much other than the little slices of life within the house. He's really just a Chad with a harem of demon girls. But that would be too anticlimactic. Here in this channel, we believe in exploring every obscure corner of the fandom to fill in the whole picture. For that, we shall take some pages out of Second Circle, which I consider to be the unofficial sequel of Helltaker, as it really fleshes out and provides background for all the characters, even the man himself, through small snippets within dialogues, which reveal that he's much more than some horny meathead looking to get into the pants of demon girls. For as much of a bunker buster he is, the Helltaker is actually quite the suave gentleman, who takes hats in a dignified and sophisticated manner. And no, not like a weenie.
Gentlemen, today's the day when young boys become men. What the? Patrick, what the fuck are you doing here?
I thought the Helltaker would help me straighten out my life, sir!
The Helltaker? What the? Patrick, this is not. Oh, god damn it. Beggars can't be choosers. Can you take hats in a dignified and sophisticated manner?
Oh, you mean like a weenie? Okay. May I take your hat, sir? May I take your hat, sir? May I take your...
Okay, that's enough! You got the damn job.
Let's start on the surface. Sure, the Helltaker has no fantastical powers or abilities. He's no superhero like Superman or Thor. In fact, the guy's just a human like any of us. But, unlike most of us, the Helltaker is an extraordinary human. In fact, this guy is a human being at its peak, which is what allows him to barely survive his odyssey throughout the Inferno. For one, the regular human body is already pretty resilient. In fact, it is a lot stronger and can tolerate a lot more physical and mental stress than many of us realize. But, it is our sense of pain that keeps us from getting too close to the threshold of death. Still, once again, the Helltaker is no ordinary human. He's an extraordinary human that possesses beyond normal skills and feats. In many ways, the Helltaker is like the Batman or the Punisher, who do not possess superpowers like Superman or Thor, yet can still make up for it through superior technology, training, and intellect. For the Helltaker, we can also add unbreakable willpower. In situations where everything seems doomed and hopeless, most would just give in. But not the Helltaker, for he is someone who simply doesn't know when nor how to quit. In fact, it's not even in his vocabulary. Just like the Terminator, the Helltaker is the Determinator, an unstoppable force that will not relent until he accomplishes his goals. And it is thanks to this mindset that the Helltaker was able to not only enter Hell, but also survive it to the very end. In fact, just like the Batman or the Punisher, the Helltaker has potential to be a superhero himself, bearing the same alias. His power? Kicking the absolute shit out of the bad guys. That being said, even if he is potentially the strongest human on Earth, he is still only human. And if we're going by biblical standards, Taker, as well as any human for that matter, is nothing compared to literal demons. Yet, the man himself still managed to get a harem full of him, but not through raw power, but through his charms. Because the Helltaker is not some dumb ape that only knows how to break rocks. He knows very well that as a mere mortal, he has no chance to go directly against the demons, thus needing to be more tactful in his approach. Fortunately, the man himself is also quite the affable ladies' man himself. The guy knows how to dress, how to keep a conversation going, and which pickup lines to use at the right moment. When Pandamonica asks, "How may I serve you?" Taker responds, "Maybe I can serve you instead." As a severely underappreciated Secretary of Hell, such a response was a breath of fresh air for the caffeine-starved demon. Or when Taker survives the Sin Machine, he continues to flatter Judgment afterwards, thanking her for her punishments and complimenting her beautiful eyes and hair. As the kindest demon, the High Prosecutor couldn't resist such kind words. Or in Second Circle, when Taker has his romantic date with Lucy, the man really knows how to make a girl's heart flutter. When Lucy comments that Taker traveled to the wrong direction of heaven, Taker cleverly replies that he still found something worth looking for. And despite his life potentially being shortened by gaining a demon harem, he considers it to be all worth it, as the experience has made his life more vibrant than before. And he continues to praise Lucy's conduct as queen, validating her thankless position. And Lucy is quite flattered, admitting how she hasn't received praise that genuine for 600 years. And that is how it's done, gentlemen. The Helltaker doesn't just give empty compliments, but genuinely gets to know his demon girls and makes them feel special by praising their positive character traits, not just their looks. Sure, some of them are a bit cheesy, sometimes even masochistic, but when dealing with demons, you gotta somewhat indulge into their power-tripping fantasies. In any case, the fact that Taker managed to woo all the demon girls without raising a finger against them, but rather with words, is what makes him so much more impressive. As cliche as it is, sometimes words are more powerful than your muscles or tools. And Taker did all of that despite the risk of eternal damnation, yet still triumphed in the end, which is why he is such a massive Chad. However, it is one thing to woo demon girls into your harem, but it is a whole nother ordeal to keep your harem of demon girls and endure through the chaos. But even in this realm, the man himself manages to get it done. Just like his charms, Taker doesn't subdue the demon girls with force, but with kindness. Because underneath all those hulking muscles and charisma is actually someone who's a very sweet and caring guy. He's not some wannabe alpha male who tries to dominate his new harem. The Helltaker is quite accommodating towards the girls, despite all the newfound chaos that followed them to his house. In fact, he has every right to kick them out of the house, as demonstrated by Modius and Cerberus' antics. But no, the man himself maintains superb patience as the Buddha himself. Whenever the demon girls ask him for something, he does it. Whether it's taking Pandamonica to the cafe, binging video games with Melina, or accompanying Azazel on her research, the Helltaker has everyone's backs and ensures he's a good host as the man of the house. In fact, as opposed to a harem, the Helltaker acts more like a personal butler towards each of them. Okay, sounds like a nice guy, sure. But surely he isn't just trying to suck up to his harem and try to get into their pants or have any other ulterior motives. Surely, he isn't one of those fake quote-unquote nice guys like Hal from Megamind. To that I say, hell to the no. The Helltaker isn't just a nice guy, but also a kind one as well, as he actually cares about the demon girls by genuinely getting to know them and helping out with their personal problems. When Azazel opened up about her alienation from her peers back in heaven, the Helltaker assured her that she would always be welcome with open arms in his house, and that she could be herself without shame. When Judgment expressed her insecurities of showing her true kind nature, the Helltaker encouraged her to embrace that part of her as opposed to repressing it in shame. Or, when Pandemonica revealed herself to be suffering from the ocean of tormented voices. The Helltaker went out of his way to figure out a solution to stop her suffering, researching day and night about demonology, as well as taking her on a beach date to assuage the pain, and much more. And the Helltaker did all of that without asking for anything in return, which really showed what a kind-hearted soul he is. Perhaps that is why the demon girls chose to remain with him, as they never received such kind and wholesome treatment from anyone, especially back down in the Inferno. In addition, of course, is Taker's skill as a supreme chef, as demonstrated by his marvelous chocolate pancakes, which sort of serve as a form of insurance in case things go sour. All of this makes the whole dynamic between Taker and the girls appear more like a giant family, as opposed to some generic harem like we see in anime. More on that later. In any case, for someone who's a resourceful house husband like Tatsu, as well as loyal and kind-hearted like Kiryu Kazuma from the Yakuza series, the Helltaker is truly a keeper. Now, speaking of anime, this is more of a personal tidbit, but it's also the perfect opportunity to bring it up. As someone who's consumed a decent amount of anime, I've also watched a decent amount of the harem genre. And they got old really fast. The reason being, most of the protagonists of these harem shows are the same. And I don't mean just their looks, but also their bland and carbon cut-out personality, usually composed of being very timid, shy, easily flustered, clumsy, and etc. This is especially prevalent in high school settings, where the same generic protagonist suddenly has the hottest girls of the entire school fawning and fighting over him, without the guy ever having to put in any effort. And it made me wonder, what the hell is it with these anime writers that make them obsess over these generic protagonists? After doing further research, the consensus appears to be to allow their audience to better relate to the protagonist, sometimes even insert themselves into him. Although that's understandable on a marketing standpoint, it's also kinda sad to think about, but I digress. However, the Helltaker is none of that. The Helltaker is no damn pushover and is confident of not only what he does, but also who he is and does not apologize for it. The Helltaker does not make excuses or wallow in pity and simply does what he set out to do. Now, some of you might think, but isn't the Helltaker also just some cardboard cutout of a jock or alpha male? Hell to the no! The Helltaker has actual character and personality independent of the demon gals, being a genuinely kind person who helps out those in need, while also unafraid of putting his foot down when necessary. For that, it is so refreshing to see harem content with a protagonist that is actually fleshed out, as well as someone who isn't some pitiful and frankly spineless kid like many harem MCs. And look, let me be clear. I'm not saying harem protagonists, or any protagonists for that matter, instead have to be some ultra chat alpha meathead. But at least allow them to have some backbone and dignity for God's sake. Secondly, I don't have anything against pushover or quote-unquote weak protagonists either, as long as there's room for some character progression as well as the trope not being abused so much. But given works like Rent-A-Girlfriend being so popular, I'm not holding my breath for any changes. But once again, I digress. Excuse my mini rant, but I had to get it off my chest. In any case, given the reasons stated earlier, the Helltaker is one of the few harem MCs who actually deserve to have their harem. Not only due to his upstanding character, but also because of his personality and strengths actually serve to complement the needs and deficiencies of each girl, and they have more to gain from being with him, as opposed to the other way around. In fact, in many harem stories, the protagonists themselves develop and change as they quote-unquote assemble each girl for their harem. With each girl they meet, they gain new experiences, perspectives, growth, and more. But not with the Helltaker. In Helltaker, the demon gals themselves are the ones that change and develop by interacting with the man himself, along with the experiences that come with it. Modius, after going on dates with Taker, was not only introduced to the concept of romance, but also possibly found a solution to fill in the empty gap within her that pure lust could not. Judgment, who's deep down the kindest demon, was able to slowly revitalize that part of her and eventually embrace it, thanks to Taker's encouragement and date in the Butterfly Garden. And of course, Lucifer, despite being the autocratic ruler of hell, found joy in the simple and domestic activities like being a housewife after moving in with Taker, showing how she also has a sweet and maternal side, which never went away completely. The Helltaker is not the one that changed after gaining his harem. The demon gals are the ones that changed. They developed by discovering certain aspects about themselves, which they wouldn't have if they remained in hell like usual. And that is why the Helltaker deserves his harem of demon gals. Not because he's some ultra giga chat alpha male, but because of being the driver of change for the girls, many of which were positive. In fact, it's hard to imagine any of them wanting to go back to their old lives in hell. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, the Helltaker is the best main character, husband, and even a role model for the boys. The man himself is not just built like a bunker, but also the one that busts bunkers. The man himself is unafraid to go down the literal depths of hell and form a harem of literal demons, all who could kill him with a snap of a finger. Yet, he managed to woo them not with raw power, but with charms that even the angels can't resist. Yet, despite his overwhelming prowess and Chad aura, the man himself is not some egotistical douchebag who steps on others. On the contrary, he is one of the kindest, sweetest, and down-to-earth gentlemen who'd go to hell and back to help you out while asking for nothing in return. Therefore, I think we can all learn a thing or two from the Helltaker, especially the guys watching this. Like the Helltaker, we can all learn to become the best version of ourselves, both physically and mentally. We certainly don't have to become a massive brick wall like him, but we all can pick up a dumbbell or two and learn to stand up for ourselves. Like the Helltaker, we can all be more courageous and take on difficult challenges. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be afraid or have fear. Quite the contrary, as true courage is doing the difficult in spite of fear. Like the Helltaker, we can all be more kind towards people. Contrary to what certain people online may claim, kindness is not a sign of weakness nor unmanliness, but a sign of strength and virtue. It is the lesser people who feel the need to put down others to mask their own insecurities. And like the Helltaker, we can all strive to be our authentic selves as opposed to trying to be like others. Listen, your life is yours and you only have one of it. Why waste it trying to live someone else's or desperately try to gain other people's approval? Embrace the real you without shame nor reservation and take pride in it. And to hell with anyone who says otherwise. Now, before we finish this video, I'd like to cover one last thing, which is the Helltaker's potential origin story. There are many headcanons about his origins, many which involve the country of Poland. After all, the creator of the game Van Ripper is from Poland, so it doesn't sound too far-fetched. But, if I may chip in my 50 cents, I like to think that the Helltaker is a Polish version of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I don't just mean by looks, but also by Arnold's life background. As some of you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was originally born in a small town in Austria, but as opposed to just settling down in his home country, he wanted to do greater things, like becoming a bodybuilder and a movie star, or maybe a governor of another country. But in order to do so, he couldn't stay in Austria and decided to move abroad to America, where there were more opportunities for such dreams. Now, there's nothing wrong with Austria. In fact, it's a wonderful country, and I had a great time there. But sometimes, to chase your dreams, you gotta leave your hometown. And I can imagine the Helltaker having a similar backstory, where he was just a normal boy born in communist Poland. And his real name is... Mateusz. Yes, I like that name. Which roughly translates to Gift of God. Ironic since he pursues demons, but given his extraordinary prowess, I say it's quite fitting. But as opposed to working in some factory, having everything rationed and waiting hours in line, as well as being dictated how to live his life by others, Mateusz wanted something more. Mateusz loved Poland, and he would never forget his roots. But he also wanted to get out and explore the outside world. He's always been curious about the world beyond the Iron Curtain, from the western side of Europa to across the pond in America, and even towards the Far East like Japan. And one day, Mateusz finally managed to smuggle himself across the Iron Curtain, where he began his bizarre but extraordinary journey. What followed is quite an elusive mystery. The Helltaker keeps quiet about his past endeavors, even from his demon girl harem. But some of his past associates may offer some clues, yet many of their accounts offer different, sometimes even contradictory tales of the man himself. Some say he hitched a boat ride to Sicily and joined the Mafia, helping with their smuggling operations in the Eastern Bloc. Others believe he got a one-way ticket to America and joined the US Marines, looking for some ass-kicking adventure around the world. One individual claims he was recruited into the British Secret Service MI6, where he served in covert operations against the Soviet KGB, sort of like a Polish 007. Some in Japan allege to have witnessed a foreigner within the ranks of the Yakuza, earning the legend of the Gaijin Dragon. Or maybe Mateusz idolized Arnold so much that he followed in his exact footsteps by moving to California and becoming a bodybuilder, movie star, and eventually succeeding Arnold as the state's new governor. But under new identity, of course. The possibilities are endless, and we'll probably never know the real story. But whatever life he lived back then, it's all behind him now. In present day, the Helltaker appears to have settled down, renovating his modest house and gorging on his pancakes. But one day, he had a dream about hot demon girls, thus adding another adventure to his bucket list. He is truly the most interesting man in the world. And of course, here's the finished drawing of the Helltaker, the weightlifting champion. Now, if it wasn't obvious, Taker is absolutely jacked, both in canon and all the fan arts out there. He may be immortal, but he's also an extraordinary mortal who'd break the lifting world record with ease. Meanwhile, he may love his demon gals, but just like Azazel, when it comes to international sports, it does not outweigh his love for his home country. Therefore, to my Polish friends out there, na zdrowie. Finally, the next and final video on this series will be on Loremaster. Now, I fear this one will be a bit of a doozy, because she is probably the most divisive character of the entire fandom, which is what made Exam Taker so controversial. I've got my own share of opinions on this as well, but they might actually surprise a lot of you. Besides, after making a bad joke, the Capitan is putting me on a gunpoint until I get it done, so not like I have a choice. Anyway, stay tuned and until next time. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon for supporting this channel. My $5 patrons are Kapitan Sladek, Kidzap, and Chocobird. My $2 patrons are Komida the Prep Cook Demon. If you would like to appear at the end credits of my videos, as well as have early access and exclusive content on Patreon, feel free to hop on over to patreon.com/LTELawrence and give a pledge. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you would like to see my artwork as well, feel free to check out my other platforms like DeviantArt for my entire gallery. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, this is T. Lawrence signing out. Have a good one.